Hello and welcome to the Aspire Guide to ICT Functional Skills Level 2 Past Papers, looking at the past paper from January 2018. These can be found on the resources section of OneFile, from your Aspire tutor, or by searching directly on the Pearson website. In this video we're going to be covering question 4, which is using email and counts for 4 marks. And in that we'll be covering the following aims: attaching files, using an appropriate business tone, and also using the screenshot feature correctly. So if I open my question paper on task 4, we can see that the first line tells us we must not use the internet for this task. This means that you need to be using an offline email client which needs to be set up with your tutor before the test starts. In this task we're going to be preparing an email to Armand Anderson, attaching a copy of the spreadsheet from task 2, also including a message and sending it to the correct email address. Finally, after doing that, we're going to be producing a screenshot showing the email. So the first thing to do is to open up a new message in our email client. The one that I'm using is Outlook, yours may be slightly different. And you can see that our first step is to attach a copy of the spreadsheet from task 2. This can be done in 2 ways, either through the attach file button, which is usually notated with a paperclip. If I were to do that, I would click on attach file and we go to browse this PC. Or if I already have the correct folder open, I can select the file, I can drag it directly onto the message, and this will attach it automatically for me. So I can go back to task 4 and tick off that step. The next is to include a message asking him to send a reminder to people who have not paid the full cost of the trip. Now this can often be an area where candidates can lose 1 or 2 vital marks, so it's important to use an appropriate business tone and not be too chatty. To make this easier, I'm going to drag each of my windows to the side of the screen so I can see them side by side. I'm going to use the language of the question to help me write. I'm going to say, "Dear Armand," again, not hi or hello, as that would be too informal and would cost marks. I'm going to say something like, "Here is a copy of the spreadsheet. Can you use this to send a reminder to people who haven't paid in full?" Kind regards, and then your name. I'm also going to go back to double check for any spelling and grammar errors, as this is another area that could cost marks. I can see that that is okay. So the final step is I'm going to include an email address and a subject. And to include the email address, I'm simply going to copy and paste from the question paper. This means I'm 100% sure that this is correct and there's going to be no typing errors. Finally, an appropriate subject would be something like "spreadsheet for OBAM." The last step is producing a screenshot of the email that we've prepared. So for this we need to open up a Word document, and you can see that I've already set this to landscape orientation. And this can be found in the layout ribbon at the top under orientation. I'm going to make my message full screen by clicking this button here next to the X in the top right, and I'm going to press print screen on my keyboard, which is in the top right. On some models of keyboard you may have to hold down Shift before pressing print screen. This would depend entirely on the model of your keyboard. Once I've done that, I'm going to open my Word document and I'm going to paste that in. And we can see that I've got a nice big screenshot which is clearly readable. If my screenshot wasn't big enough, I would make sure to resize it by using the handles in the corners and not the handles at the sides or tops, as this would distort the image. I could also, if I chose, right click and crop the image by using the black handles, again just to make things easier to read. So that meets our final objective of using the screenshot feature correctly. And this should bring us all 4 marks for question 4. To recap, some of the common traps that people fall into are using an online email client, that is an email client that you need to log into by using the internet, so one in which you would type the address into the internet to find. Using an inappropriate or chatty tone in your email. Again, the email must have an appropriate business tone with an appropriate opening and appropriate sign off. And finally, by producing an unreadable screenshot. And we've shown how we can resize our screenshots to make those easier to read by dragging the handles in the bottom corners. And that completes all our objectives for question 4.